So, definition for envy goes like this: a feeling of discontent or covetousness with regard to another's advantages, success, possessions, etc. And I thought about when I first started really getting serious about going to Al-Anon. You know, when I wasn't making an appearance like every other month or something like that, but I really started going. And I would go and I would sit in these meetings, and you know, one of the things that really bugged me about the meeting was that people there were happy and they were content. And there was a particular lady there who really taught me a lot. Her name was Mary Ann, and she just had this conviction about her, and she spoke with this sense of just calm. And when I first met her and I got to know her, you know, I envied her and I resented her, and you know, I sort of lived in those emotions. And one day she was talking about her life and what she was doing with life in general. I finally, she said, she was chairing the meeting, and she goes, "Well, Mark, how are you feeling about all this?" I said, "You don't want to know." She goes, "Yeah, I really do." And I'm like, "Well, I think I resent you." I said, I didn't use the word envy. I'm like, "I resent you. You piss me off." She goes, "Well, why is that?" And I said, "Well, it's because you sit here and I'm in the middle of hell, and my kids are in the middle of hell, and you're sitting here in this meeting and you're coming week after week and you're telling me how great it is, and your husband, he's clearly sober now, and I mean, you're getting to enjoy all of that, and I have to come here and listen to you while I'm in the middle of what I'm in the middle of." And she goes, "Well, let me just ask you, what would happen if I told you that my husband has never been sober the whole time you've been coming here?" She goes, "What would happen if I told you that we had, just like you, we'd been to the hospital multiple times? What would happen if I told you that 2 weeks ago he spent 10 days, in intensive care for alcohol poisoning? What would happen if I told you that?" I said, "I would tell you were a liar. I don't appreciate you, coming up with that platitude." She goes, "No, that's the deal." And I kind of looked around the room at some people that knew her, and they were like, "Yeah, sure enough, that's the deal." And I thought that I envied her, and I had absolutely no capacity at that time to understand the gratitude that woman had going on inside of her, amen? I could not capture it. I did not know what she was doing. I did not know what was happening with her. And what I thought I envied, wasn't at all what was going on. The focus with envy, when we get into this, believing that, well, I want what he has and I want what she has when it comes to material stuff, or even perhaps change of circumstance. And I'm really not talking about wanting the sobriety that I see somebody else have. But I'm talking about wanting what it looks like another family has, or another couple has, or another marriage has, or I want your job, or I want your kids, or I want whatever it is. I want something that I don't have that you have. The focus is on what is missing. When people come out of recovery, when they come out of treatment, sometimes they look at other couples and they go, "God, their marriage looks perfect. Why can't our marriage look like that? I did everything she said to do. I did everything he wanted me to do. I did everything they told me to do. I thought when I got through this whopping 28 days, we would be in Disneyland. I thought I would be the guy after the Super Bowl, or the woman after the Super Bowl in Disneyland on the commercial. And I'm not. And why can't I have more? Why can't I have different? I'm not going to be happy until what is missing is fulfilled." And the focus of envy is always more and more and more, because once you start with this emotion, you cannot get off this track, amen? It is like a speeding bullet train. And when you're on it, and nothing will satisfy it. And the problem with all of us in this room is if you haven't noticed, we're pretty good at compulsion. We are like stars of the class, amen? And when this envy thing starts to roll in us, even if it's for something really good, there's no stopping it. And we continue to compare our life to what is missing. We continue to compare our life to what is not, and we become incapable of putting our life in the realm of what is. We continue to sit with God, even if we're not telling him, trying to get God to understand what is not, trying to help God to see if he would just do this, and if he would just do this, and just take care of that, and change that, and give me a little more of that, and add a little bit more of that to the stew. You know what? It will be a pretty good stew. And then, God, I would come and praise you. And then, God, I might believe in you if you gave me the more. Except there's never enough of more, is there? Once you get on that bullet train, there's no figuring out a way to stop it. Because there's got to be more and more and more. There's never enough. There's always a need for more, because that's just the way we roll. We will become unhappy, despairing, disenchanted, all the D words, depressed, frustrated, angry, detached, jealous of everything and everyone that moves. Here's how the 12 and 12 puts it. It says, we are sure, talking about us, all of us, that no class of people in the world ever made a worse mess of trying to live by this formula than alcoholics or addicts or anybody who's compulsive with anything. For thousands of years, we have been demanding more than our share of security, prestige, and romance. Well, how was that? How was your cruise? It was okay. But on my friend's cruise, I mean, they had better music. They had better entertainment. They went to 3 other islands. They had 4 other kinds of ice cream. I mean, I just hear this stuff about cruises. I wish you, if you like going on cruises, go on one with Carol, my wife. She's desperate to go. I don't want to go. Take the woman on a freaking cruise, amen? She'll love you. But I mean, hear that, right? How romantic the if only is in our life. And you know what? As romantic as it is equally that dangerous and that sick for us. Amen? You check it out in the Bible. People, God is not hiding the authority and the power of envy. It starts off right away. Story of Cain and Abel. The first family blows it up. And it goes on and on. People die in the Bible all the time over envy. Amen? You think if you just had what he has, you'd be good. Except you get it, and guess what? You're not. You're not. We're not. We just get sicker. When we seem to be succeeding at our quest for getting it all, we drank to dream still greater dreams. Does that sound right? When we thought we had it all and we couldn't get there. Because it's an insatiable diet. It's an insatiable hunger. It's an insatiable thirst. I wish my husband would, my kids would, boss would, she would, they would, it would, the government would, somebody would do something that I want. And if they would give it to me, I would stop all this. Except we would drink greater dreams. When we were frustrated, even in part, we drank for oblivion. Right? We self-medicate, whatever way that is. If I'm in the middle of pornography, there's got to be more attractive women out there than the woman I'm with. If I'm thinking about sleeping with somebody else and I'm married, she's so much nicer to me. Of course she is, idiot. She's not married to you. Come on. Of course she's nicer to you. She's courting you, and you're courting her. You're like beyond dumbstruck. But it looks better. This isn't really a conversation at all about alcohol or drugs. This is a conversation about us. Are you seeing that? This thing about envy is a conversation about our souls. This conversation about envy is a conversation about what's going on with us and God. It says, never was there enough of what we thought we wanted. Even if somebody puts it to us on a silver platter, it's not enough. It is not enough. In all these strivings, so many of them well-intended, our crippling handicap had been, here it is, our lack of humility. We had lacked the perspective to see that the character building and spiritual values of life have to come first, and that material satisfactions were not the purpose of living. Hanging out with God in a healthy relationship was the purpose of living. God lays it out, we just don't want to hear it. Quite characteristically, we had gone all out in confusing the ends with the means. Instead of regarding the satisfaction of our material desires as the means by which we could live and function as human beings, we had taken these satisfactions to be the final end and aim of life. And when we do that, the enemy has got us exactly where he wants us, chasing anything, anyone, any place, anywhere, except running after the only person that can give us life, and that will be God. We'll chase anything, and we'll chase it till we're out of breath, on our last breath, face down somewhere, unsure of what could possibly be next, and we'll get up as soon as we get a breath and chase it some more. And God is saying all the time, don't you understand you're chasing death? Don't you understand you're chasing emptiness? And the enemy is like, no, go on, chase anything other than God. Run after anything other than God. Because see, that's the only possible way he has any influence over us whatsoever. James and John, listen, I keep saying everybody in the Bible is in these stories that we talk about, in these messages that we have about all the stuff that happens here in recovery, amen? Everything in the Bible talks about this. The Bible is it does kill me sometimes that, I love this part, that somebody had to come up with the bright idea that they were going to put on the front of a Bible the Recovery Bible. And all of a sudden, people are buying billions of these suckers going, did you know that there are recovery stories in the Bible? I mean, there's a Recovery Bible. It's like, dude, the stories were the same before they called it the Recovery Bible and after. They were always in there. These people were always there. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, come over and they say to Jesus, listen, can't you imagine these suckers? Here they are. There's the other 10 over there. Jesus, we want to talk to you for a second. Can we just talk for a second? Can we just speak privately? Listen, Jesus, it's just between us three. Teacher, we want you to do us a favor. How would you like to be Jesus right there, man? It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you don't think I already know what you're going to say? Are you stupid or what are you? He said, so Jesus, like your mom or dad, they already know what you're going to ask. He goes, I love this. Well, what is your request? Jesus asked. They replied, well, here's the thing. When you sit on your glorious throne, we want to sit in places of honor next to you, one on your right and the other on your left. Like we want to be your special buds and we want to sit in the special seat so we get dinner first or whatever it is. I mean, think of that. Look at the envy there, man. They are complete. Jesus is telling them stuff they have never heard before in the history of time. Literally, teaching them stuff nobody has ever heard. What do they care about? Where are we going to sit at the dinner table? Ridiculous. But that's how we roll. Peter calls to Jesus Lord. Jesus is walking on water this particular night. going out to a boat. Peter is not, it does not say in the story that, well, what happened was Peter hit his knees in worship and said, I have never seen anybody walk on water. This must be God. I'm going to get on my knees and worship him. No, Peter, the epitome of envy. Lord, if it's you, you tell me to come to you walking on the water so I can be exactly like you. So I can walk on water like you because I envy what you do here. This is Peter. This guy is addicted to power. Amen? Watch his story. Read his story. Jesus says, come on. So Peter walks over on the other side of the boat and walked on the water toward Jesus. But when Peter saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. Save me, Lord, he shouted. What was missing with Peter? Here it is. He's not Jesus. When we think that we can envy everything God does, when we want to play the role of God, when we think we're God, when we convince ourselves that we're a better God than God, listen, 100% of the time we are sick puppies. We're sick puppies. That's true if we're codependent. That's true if we're addicts, alcoholics, eating disorders, gambling, sex. When we actually believe that we are God and God needs to become compliant with us, we are sick puppies. What is missing in that equation, that driver of envy, what is missing, huge, is God is missing playing out the actual role and relationship of God. And that is, God is God and I am not. What is missing in the story of envy is I am missing. What happens to me when I want what you have, when I want what she has, when I want what they have, when I want what somebody else has, when I want my life to be different, what is missing is I have a completely unhealthy understanding of esteem. What is missing is I do not know who I belong to. What is missing is I think I belong to my successes. What is missing is I think I belong to my accomplishments. What is missing is I think I belong to my relationships. What is missing is I think I belong to what I need that is better. What is missing is I am missing. I do not know who I am. I do not know that I belong to God. I do not know that Jesus shed blood for me. I do not know that he died for me. I do not know that I am priceless to him. I do not know that he doesn't need me to do anything for him to love me. I do not know that I'm even lovable. I do not know that I'm acceptable right now where I stand without changing one thing. I do not know who is my master. I don't know. And you're like going, well, man, I don't believe in this Jesus stuff. I don't believe in this God stuff. Well, listen, let me just tell you something. You can come here for 1,000 nights. You can never believe in God, and you can never believe in Jesus. But do one thing, all right? Stop believing in yourself. Stop believing that you can do it by yourself. Stop believing that you're all that. Stop believing that somehow the buck is going to stop with you. Stop believing that if you put enough stuff together, the umbrella is going to cover the brokenness inside of you. If you get enough stuff, that it's going to cover the pain. If you get enough stuff, that it's going to make all these monsters we're talking about go away. Stop thinking that. Because what is missing tonight as we pursue everything else, her, him, them, it, that, what is missing tonight is you. What is missing tonight is me. You see, I need to find God. I need to put the same intensity into running for God that I am tonight into running for whatever else. Amen? And even if you don't believe that God is real, and even if you don't believe that God exists, let me just tell you something. Get up and run anyway. Because he is the life in this room. I need to find God. And then when I find God, when I find Jesus, I'm going to find me. Because it is this God I'm talking about. It is this Jesus I'm talking about who created me, who put breath into me, who stood me up, who showed me off to the world, who said, you want to see my new daughter? Look at how gorgeous she is. You want to see my new son? Look at how incredible he is. When you were born, God had you in his hands. When you were born, God showed you off to the world. When you were born, God showed you off to the creation. And God didn't say, if he just had blue eyes, I would love him more. He said to the world, he's perfect. He said, she's gorgeous. He said, I wouldn't change a thing, not a thing. I saw this family the other day, and they had a Downs child. And the dad, he was completely taken with this little girl. And she just was like completely exposed to the world. And I was just like, wow, what a hardship that is for that guy. Man, that's tough. Had this really gorgeous older daughter and, great looking older son and all this, and then this little girl. And then the mom comes around the corner, and the mom is completely, in every way, disfigured. I mean, to the point that I was like having a rough time smiling and focusing on her, right? And there's the dad. And the dad, he just held that woman. He grabbed her hand like he could see right through what I was obsessed with. I couldn't get over it. See, that's the grace of God. The grace of God looks at you and you look disfigured and you want to look different and you want to be different and you want life to be different, and God is looking right through it and he's grabbing your hand. And he's so proud of you. And he just wants to be your daddy. And the day that you realize he is your daddy, you will start getting well. And until you realize he's your daddy, you can never get well. It's exactly what happened to Matt. It's exactly what happened to everybody else in this room who experienced that miracle. Is they got to this place where they realized they had a daddy that showed them off to the world. They had a daddy who loved them, no conditions. They had a daddy who loved them exactly as they were. They were free, finally free of being on the run. Finally free of being on the run. And you know what? If you've never said yes to your daddy, if you've never trusted Jesus, you know what? Come right here, right now. Take him in. Take every bit of him in and get some life and some freedom, and stop running every place else and just run to him. Amen.